Well, hello there. I absolutely couldn't wait. You'll have to apologize. I still have shower hair. Um, Kind of a weird thing happened to me. Uh, so I was thinking about what the next thing was going to be. Of course, some of you who've been watching my channel more recently, you know that I've been uploading a lot of like sleepy time, because I want to do lots of videos on this channel, and a lot of them have to do with nostalgic retro games, maybe even playing games I never got to play. And so I was thinking about what the next video would be, and these things are still going to happen. I just got a little bit sidetracked. Now, I was thinking about doing a video on like UIs in old games and how important and how great some of them are. And I'm still going to do that. But by doing that, I went and I started looking up old games. And it brought me to places like, of course, naturally Morrowind, which is a game I started thinking about. Man, I really want to play Morrowind. But I also went and saw, World of Warcraft, and I was looking into Classic because I played Burning Crusade, I played Wrath of the Lich King, and I think a bit of Cataclysm, and never really went past that. And modern WoW, I don't have much interest, but even Classic WoW, it's still very involved. You need a lot of people coordinated. You need a guild. It's not really the best game to go in solo. And then something caught my eye. And let me switch over to this. What? I'm doing this on the fly. EverQuest Legends. Now, EverQuest Legends, or I grew up. Now, I am the demographic of this game. I am absolutely the demographic of EverQuest Legends. This game came out in around 1999. I was 13 at that time. I wasn't into PC gaming yet, though. Not to an extreme where I didn't have the right PC to play most of these things. So I was doing other things when I was 13. I was playing other games, maybe mostly console stuff, but so I missed a lot. In fact, my original delve into MMOs was probably might have been RuneScape in high school, so that would have been maybe RuneScape. I might have played it in 2002 or 2003, and then of course I played WoW. I only started WoW and Burning Crusade, so I missed vanilla, and so this is why I think about these things. But EverQuest, otherwise known as Evercrack, back in those days, I heard so much about it, but it was too little too late. You also needed an organized amount of people, and so blah blah blah. Just didn't think like it was the thing for me, but I had been thinking about it. I thought, oh, what about jumping into Project 99? And I had been considering these things. I just heard of EverQuest Legends, just completely, just dropped on my radar, and I saw it as a sign. I looked, I watched some reviews, I got excited about it because the one thing that pulls me in is it's made for casual players. People who have families or full-time jobs who don't have time. Now, mind you, I don't have any of those things, at least not right now. Sometimes I'm full-time or I'm part-time, I'm a student. So, but what about players who just don't want to play too much of one game? I read Steam reviews of people who have more hours in one game than I've probably played in my whole life. It's kind of crazy. Like I am a gamer in a lot of ways, but I don't invest that much of my time in gaming. I do consume games in other formats. I watch people, blah, But a turn-off for a lot of MMOs is that, you fall behind or you don't have a regular group. And sometimes I just want to play a game where I can get immersed in the world, I was going to say fall asleep to it. I'm thinking about the content that I tend to make, but immersed into a world and just play alone and have the option of playing with a group. And EverQuest Legends really seems to scratch that itch. And I heard lots of, boomers, and I say that jokingly. I'm almost 40 myself, so, but a lot of people my age or, within 10 years older than me, they're gushing about this. It's, in a lot of ways, it's a return to form. And looking here, okay, so let's get into some technical. So I did a bit of research. I already know I'm going to press this button, and we're going to do it real soon. I've made my account. I'm going to press this button very soon, but let's look at it for anyone else who's interested. So if you're like me, I know quite a bit about the world of EverQuest. I've watched documentaries, I've done all kinds, but I've never delved into it myself. I think I downloaded Project 99, but I was worried about the time investment, so I didn't play it. But this, I can play alone, and I can group up. I have these options, and if I don't play for 2 months, it's fine. It's okay. That's a selling point for me, regardless if I, of what else is going on in my life. But so what's interesting is now we are July 3rd. The open access has started. So there was an NDA, people couldn't get in for a while. That has since changed. So people can get into the open beta. It opens up, as you can see here, July 1st. So just a couple days ago, up until July 21st. So I can download this now and play. The game's going to release on July 28th, but you could still go into open beta. I think the idea is that you're supporting the game a little bit earlier. You're maybe doing a little bit of bug testing. Things are subject to change. Okay, this isn't the game as it may be in 3 weeks from now. That's fine. But this is fantastic, I feel like this is a sign. I have to try this. Now is the time. I'm going to play EverQuest, and that's kind of what this video is going to be about. It's not going to be a video essay. It's going to be a first impressions, maybe a review. Maybe I'll get a little bit of essay-like discussion in there, although that could be a bit later. But this is really going to be maybe a longer form first impressions. So I'll also try and make it relaxing, but I'm not going to try too hard, so I apologize if maybe I'm a bit higher energy in this video than what you're used to. That will be the case for a lot of videos, right? Of course, if it says Calm Within the Chaos, if it is titled that, you can guarantee that I'm going to be talking like this. It's going to be a lot more chill. I'm going to have some nice music. I don't know how this one's going to go. I just wanted to press record. So, some key features. Okay, well, about the game. It's been designed from the ground up to appeal to players who enjoy playing their games solo and or casually. This guy. While groups up to 4 players and raids up to 8 players are available. The entire game can be played, enjoyed, and experienced solo if that's your playstyle. This is not something you can do in the later levels of WoW, right? You can probably solo, I don't know, up to maybe level 15 or 20, and then you start running into those quests that you need another player, and it's fine, and there are lots of groups where people can get together and, help other solos out, and then they go their separate ways after. And that's great. But it's a lot of energy. Some people don't have a social battery for that all the time. Sometimes they just want to stare at a screen and click things, put music on, and just immerse themselves. That's the type of person that I am. Now, I've heard that it does give quality of life. There are changes, so it's not completely like the game from 1999, but a lot of the veterans of the game argue that these changes are actually good. Their quality of life, the other things might have been silly, or like I think there's a mechanic where you meditate, probably to restore your mana for your magic spells. I'm just making guesses here. You used to have to sit to do that. Now you don't. You can just recover it by standing. Little things like that. And of course now you can make one character have 3 classes, so you can essentially cover all your bases, or you can go crazy in a different direction. I don't know. I'm looking forward to exploring that. But key features: experience classic EverQuest. It features all of the magic and nostalgia of the classic EverQuest, including the original art style, graphic zones, spell effects, loot, and music. Enjoy the game as it hasn't been seen, heard, or experienced in over 20 years. That's awesome, because I lament the fact that I missed an opportunity to play this. But like I say, I was the target demographic. I was a teenage boy when this game was in its golden era, or when it started. So, I'm glad I got to catch some WoW and catch a lot of the memes that came along with it. The Leroy Jenkins, the more dots. I have a nostalgia for that, but this is something at the same time, I know next to nothing about EverQuest, which is why it's so appealing to me right now. There are modern game features, including streamlined user interface. Hey, we're on the subject of UI, so maybe I can include some footage from this in there. Upgraded spell and ability management, and countless other QOL enhancements. Forge Your Legend. It allows players to create unique characters by selecting up to 3 classes. Cool. I won't read. You guys can read this. Press pause. EverQuest Live makes it possible for players to progress through the game at their own pace. Great. Oh, that's awesome. So I'm going to pre-order. Oh, right. Hold on before we get into it. Most importantly, so if you get it now, that means up until the 21st, you can play the pre-order beta access. So I'm essentially pre-ordering the game, but I have access to the game for the most part and how it's going to be. It only costs 20 bucks. I'm assuming this is USD, so it's a little bit more Canadian. You get your character name reserved. That would be cool if I could name my character Time Weaver. That would be cool. And if I can make it like a super spellcaster, that would be really cool too. Definitely want to be a cleric. I know that much. If I can be a man of God in my games, I want to do that. And in-game title, The Legend. That's cool, but I like the character name reservation and the fact that this $20, that it's only $20, includes your first month, and then it's only 10 bucks a month, which is quite low. Subscription models have gone way up. I pay more than double that just to have ad-free Spotify for 2 people. I pay double that just to have it for 1 person. I pay double that just to be able to upload endless music to my SoundCloud page, which, by the way, soundcloud.com/time-weaver-this numbers. Check out my page. I make ambient music and all types of stuff, so check me out. Anyways. Plus a lot more. Cool. There's lots going on here. I'm excited. I'm going to go through the process. I'm going to cut to the next time you see this, I'll have the game playing. All right. And if you've stuck with me this long, I appreciate it. This is going to be just kind of off the cuff first impressions, and I'm really looking forward to it. All right. We're quickly installing the game. And I mean quickly. I can't show it. I'm not able to get the game capture for the game just yet, but I just wanted to say it's like 5 or 6 gigs. I nearly downloaded it and installed everything. It's already ready to play. That is something I miss. I remember when Baldur's Gate 2 was, oh my god, you know, it was like 3 gigs and that you broke your hard drive. But hey, now we're gonna actually hit the play button and get it set up because it's only 5.6 gigs to install and it's already done. So awesome. I missed that. So I just opened it up. I'm not hearing any music, although I did add it to I did add the audio sources to my nested audio in Streamlabs. As you can see, it's a source now. This is what I'm greeted with as soon as I walk in, as soon as I enter the game. So I thought, all right, well, let's get to it. This is a first impression. So first thing I see is, well, there are a couple of servers here, none of them requiring a subscription, I guess because we're still in the beta. Just by name, I would have chose Freeport. I also saw it has a high status, so in my mind, well, I'm not in Europe, so it takes those out. For me, it's really about a vibe you get from the name, and it is high pop, I guess, so yeah, why not? I also see this, name reservation. Now I want to press this. Sorry, I'm a little bit OCD about stuff like that. So can I get this name, please? Okay, it's cool. It's got an old school feel to it. Time Weaver. All right, so I've reserved the name, Time Weaver. And I'm going to enter Freeport. I guess I select it and I press play down here. Gonna hit me with some of that nostalgic music. Oh, wow. Just a little taste, huh? Can you all see this? Yeah, you're all seeing this. Honestly, that it really brings me back. I also want to make more music like this. I want to make dungeon synth that has this kind of a vibe. It reminds me of N64 games as well. Like, just that era. To me, the golden era of gaming is, I guess, 1990 to 2005. It's a rough... we can give or take there, but... Please be aware that this is a temporary beta server. Okay. All characters in progress will be lost. Ah, okay, so... it'll be good to experiment. I don't mind making the same character twice. Maybe I'll... It's learning. I know nothing about this game. So if you're here to learn how to play the game, you can click away now. That's not happening here. Alright. Holy moly. Okay, so I have the name reserved, but I still want to take Time Weaver. Wow, so many races. Okay, let's read here. Can I make this box bigger? See, I'm going to get into a little bit of UI discussion, but this is what I loved about Morrowind, about old PC games, is that, you know, everything was just a series of boxes, and you can make them, you can size them the way you wanted them to. It's lovely. To me, I like old PC games because it almost makes you feel like you're working on something on your computer here. Okay. This is a multi-class game. As you create your character, you can choose one primary and one secondary from the tabs. At level 10, you unlock a third class. Okay, you'll be able to utilize the class loadout system once in-game and create and adjust class combinations. Please note that upon reaching level 11, your primary class and deity will become locked. Okay, and then can only be changed by completing specific achievements to unlock other classes and deities. I'm already excited, to be honest with you. Just as I'm seeing the loot over here, I'm thinking, oh my god, do I want to make a cleric bard? Is that really weird? I like to think that that's my IRL multi-class, because I'm a cleric bard, or like a priest bard. Okay, class loadout system. Okay, wait. However, your second and third classes have no restrictions. Okay. The class loadout system can be accessed through the inventory window. Each class tracks its own level and experience. Up to level 10, all of your classes will be leveled. Okay, up to level 10, all of your classes will be leveled together, and each receives the full experience. After 11, only the classes currently being utilized gain experience. Okay, I like that system. And experience is never split. Okay. Okay, alright, cool. Now, I'm one of those guys that actually tends to play female characters a lot more than male characters, so I may do that here. Ooh. I think... Okay, so let's just assume I'm going to play female. Alright. Barbarian is a race? It's interesting. Oh, the background changes. Whoa! Okay, so classes are dictated by the race. You have restrictions, which I think is important, you know, for flavor. Can a half-elf be a cleric? No. I guess no big surprise there. A high elf? Enchanter. Oh, you can be a cleric. That's really what I want to be as my primary class, I think. So let's just... Holy moly. Damn, someone needs a pedicure. Iskar? Oh, straight up humans. And that's kind of boring, isn't it? But, I don't know. For a test character, maybe not so much. Wood Elf. Wood Elf. That's kind of cool. Oh, I might go normie mode. Well, High Elf. I mean, High Elves can be... Look at that. Oh, you know what? I think that second that I played, that's like the EverQuest poster girl right there, which is why I can't play her. Does your clothing change depend on... No, okay. I might just be a normie human. Oh, I'm sorry, people. But I don't want to be too indecisive, and this character isn't forever, and I can make a bunch of them. So, female, human, cleric. I feel like I'm playing World of Warcraft already. Clerics dedicate their lives to the gods of Norath, gaining magical powers in exchange for their faith and service. Clerics are primarily a magic-using class with the ability to wear plate armor and wield blunt weapons. Okay, this is very D&D. Now, I'm a huge... I played advanced, you know, first, second. I was mostly a third edition player. Second edition being very close. First is when I first learned about the game, but I didn't get to play it as much. Okay. Secondary, right off the cuff, I'm thinking Bard. It feels weird, but let's see. Bards are jack of all trades. Adventurers use music to create a wide variety of magical effects. Though they often use melee weapons, bards are primarily a magic-using class with the ability to wear plate armor as well, and wield many different types of weapons and instruments. To me, this, you know, when you roleplay, I don't care about efficiency. Sometimes, you know, I shuffle the numbers, but I want to have fun. I want to immerse myself, and for me, being a cleric and bard right now is kind of where it's at. Alright. And we're gonna try and take the name, Time Weaver. It really doesn't want me to have a capital W. And I don't think I can... Ooh, that's fine. This is the name we're using. Now these... Okay, do I get to mess around with these stats at all? No, okay. That's good. I'd probably be messing around with them so much. Ooh, we have a lot of deities to choose from, though. So, it randomly chooses one for me here. So, Cleric Bard, okay. Do I get a little drop down? Wow, yes I do. What about their... Okay, I'm gonna look at their titles before anything. Bertoxulus, the Plague Bringer. Erelissimar, the Queen of Love. Love conquers all. It's a little bit cheesy. I know someone who's watching this who's probably getting a little bit fumed at me right now. The Prince of Hate. I don't know, man. I mean, Karana, the Rainkeeper. Okay, let's see this. Believe in the absolute power of storms. They worship the life-giving power of the rain and respect the destructive force of a sandstorm or hurricane. I like that so far. Oh, we only have two more to look at here. Nathaniel Mar, the Lightbearer. Okay. Is this like your lawful stupid? Valor is what separates civilized beings from beasts. They live by a strict moral code that prizes truth, honor, and charity. Okay, I don't feel like playing like the goody two-shoes type right now. The Prime Healer. Okay. Rodset Knife. Take an oath to fight disease and death until one or the other finally claims them. They are very generous and humble, asking little more from their beneficiaries than they pass on the kindness to others. The whole storm thing is kind of cool, though. It's between Rodset and Karana. Let's read a little bit more. They will often offer shelter from the elements to strangers. Many Karana followers live a nomadic lifestyle. Okay, it's kind of cool. Traveling where the winds take them. They are humble, generous people who value strength and honesty and brook no respect of Karana and his work, for they know it is only through his wisdom and kindness that all of Norath is not consumed in an eternal tempest. Whoa, that kind of gives me vibes of the idea of like one of the perceptions of the god that we know as Yahweh. He's very much influenced by old Babylonian gods who are had a lot to do with. There was a lot of storm and imagery in those. That's a topic for another time, but I'm liking the vibe, so I will pick Karana shall be my deity. And it looks like because of the... Oh, interesting. So the deity determines where you start. So I'm going to start in South Qeynos? With the exception of a few seedy characters, Qeynos is a fairly safe place for humans on the west coast of the continent of Antonica. While many humans live in Qeynos, they can be seen wandering all of Norath, particularly in the port city on the eastern coast called Freeport. Okay, well, it looks like this is where the game wants us. Now, is anything determined by my bardness? I want to read a little bit more here. They can do a little bit of everything, yeah. Okay, I mean, I know, it's very D&D-like, so I basically get what I'm going in for, and this always kind of enthused me as a what if I did a cleric bard multiclass. I don't know what the third one would be, but for now, you know, I only just checked now on the sound. Like, please tell me the sound is still playing. It is. The game sound is playing. Perfect. Hopefully it's loud enough. Maybe I'll do this. Okay. That's probably fine. Sorry about that. Okay. So, deity, Karana, South Qeynos. Okay, yes, we definitely want the tutorial, but I see now that there is another thing I can do. My appearance. Interesting. Heritage is locked. Face. Pretty much everything is locked except the face. I can be a redhead. Can I do... So, the only thing that you can... Okay, changes the face. Well, this is easy then. This can kind of give you choice paralysis when you have too much... There we go. That's me. Good to go. Let's check it out. So hello, this is Chris from the future. I decided that instead of having the music and my voice at the same level, because I made some mistakes before the editing process, I would use a lot of my footage not as the direct commentary but as B footage instead, and I'm gonna kind of just talk through some of the highlights that I noticed. So here in the tutorial, I'm just gushing about how reminiscent it was of Dungeons and Dragons, you know, with armor class and, you know, hit points. Sure, lots of games have that. Well, not very many games have an armor class specifically, but this having like saves versus poison and magic, it really reminded me of first and second edition Dungeons and Dragons, and I never felt a game never has a game felt so close to being a tabletop RPG before, until I played this. Even seeing all the skills, I'm loving the adjustable UIs. Kind of reminds me of Morrowind. I praise the UI of Morrowind because it's so simple. It's just a bunch of boxes that you can adjust in size, and I think that's awesome. This too, with the adjustable UI, which I know is more of a modern thing. It just works. It feels great. Not to sound like Todd Howard there, but it just works. I'm remarking here that I'm pretty much crappy at every skill, but I think it's so cool that there are so many varied skills and stuff like fishing, and, you know, here's me jumping around being clumsy, having some fun with it. And I like how you can be visibly clumsy. Again, it reminds me of a game like Morrowind where you're really bad at first, and everybody kind of hates the combat in Morrowind because, you know, you're swinging and you're not hitting anything because it's all dice rolls and you're just bad at it. But I kind of like that progression. It's very tabletop-like, you know, and I love that. The idea with flavor text too and hyperlinks really reminded me of multi-user dungeon types of games. I like how you're interacting with the text. It's it's a lot of fun. I think there's a lot of immersion to be had there. Again, another game that comes to mind is something like Morrowind. There's a lot of depth in the text. Sure, in Morrowind it can be repetitive, but you find it. It's there. The graphics in this game, super charming. Simple and yet effective. They really set out to do what they're supposed to. When I was off doing the missions for one of the Dougs in the tutorial, it brings you to the shop, and I mean, music to me is very important, especially for immersion, but I have absolutely fallen in love with the shop music in this game. Just let's take a moment to have a listen. It's cute music. I would like to buy a package for Old Doug. There it is. So here I'm kind of noticing that there's different ways to locate yourself other than using a map. They have this kind of yellow trail. I don't think it was in the original game, but it's nice. It saves you some time. Combat for me was pretty straightforward. It's like any other MMO. Tap, target, click. It's still fun to hit skeletons with my club. And preparing spells I thought was really cool, like seeing that you have limitations with how many spells you can hold at any one time. Again, very Dungeons and Dragons. Even reminds me a little bit, actually no, Final Fantasy 1 is not a good example. That was more of a spells per day, but this was, you had to sit down with your spell book and you decide, okay, what 8 spells do I want to bring with me today? And you kind of sit and meditate and prepare them, and I just thought that's just really cool. I have very few spells right now, but you'll see, later on in the game I'm gonna have quite a bit more, and it's fun to manage this stuff. I like it. It's zen. Something unique to EQ Legends is the fact that there's no real trash items. If you have 2 rusty maces, you can actually merge them together to make a rusty mace +1. It takes more for the higher levels, but yeah, essentially repeat weapons are not trash anymore. It's kind of cool. Now at this point I remarked that I got to this guy here after reading a letter, and I thought I was going to have to do a search, but that gets me to this point about questing in this game. It doesn't hold your hand. Here it teleported me conveniently, but you'll see very shortly that questing can get pretty involved. So it's about this time in my playthrough I start to remark the aesthetic of the game. I'm a little bit disappointed that not every item I put on my character is modeled, but that's possibly a modern trope. But I was reminded of somebody saying, EverQuest is unique and that has this 80s medieval kind of a art style, and you can see it on this character model right here. That's so, it's so 80s medieval. I don't know how a better way to explain it. This medieval, house look here, this outside building, is so reminiscent of like 90s digital, just 90s games, like think Daggerfall, maybe even Thief Gold. The interiors are simple, but still the design is there, and it's super nostalgic, and it's still quite pretty. So I make my way to Daedit Alosarin, and this is where I realize how involved the quests can be. First of all, I mean, they're difficult. It's not just like, WoW kinda, it has you running around going from yellow exclamation point or question mark to another. It's like a theme park, but this, he tells me he needs donations and to go into the city and to ask people for donations. And I thought to myself, that is not at all like the quests we're used to getting in maybe more modern MMOs. Although I do praise games like Guild Wars for having, and even RuneScape, they have very, interesting and unique types of quests. But this quest, as say like an introductory cleric quest, was so true to form, because when I think of an initiate cleric, I mean, you're just like a person of God, and and you go to your your higher ups and you say, what can I do? And they're like, well, the church needs money, so go and get money, go in the streets and beg. That's actually a real cleric quest, not like go into a graveyard and kill 8 zombies. You know, that's actually pretty high tier stuff, right? So I just kind of praised the way this quest was very much at its core just so simple, somewhat mundane, but this was actually one of the most involved quests I've gone on in a little while. It wasn't very obvious to me who or how to go about it, and even looking up, I admit I caved and I went on the internet to find some resources that would help me with this, and there wasn't very much help. Actually, it was a player's copy paste of their own quest log that made me realize what the trick was, and I'll get to that a bit later. But I really love the quest design. I've only done a couple, and I know most people don't even bother with quests in this game, they just smack mobs, but I really like the questing in this game. I really like it. Now, following up on this conversation of the quests, you know, I went looking for a quest log. I found one, but it never seems to be used. I think maybe it's for later iterations of the game, but at least for all the quests that I've taken, well, I never really took them because they're not in my log. I had to write everything down on paper. I had to follow instructions, and I loved how there wasn't something pointing me. I had to figure it all out for myself. It was really fun. Right, so basically taking notes is back, and so are fluff skills. You know, a lot of times MMOs drop skills because it doesn't have a combat application, but here I'm seeing lots of spells that I'm like, or skills that I'm wondering like, how could I use that? That seems fun. It absolutely opens a door for, you know, creativity. And this game, Legends in particular, has battle stances and invocations. So they're basically ways that you fight. You want to be more aggressive, more evasive? Do you want your spells to be more, you regen mana twice as fast? Or do you want your spells to also heal you or the weakest member in your party? Do you want to have like concentration bonuses? There's a lot of little tweaks, you know, for the people amongst us that like a little bit of strategery. Well, you have melee and spellcasting focused strategies within these invocations and stances. Super cool. Here I'm just saying how, you know, there's lots of times where there's no music playing, and it, you know, basically leaves room for people like us that have our fantasy playlists or like to create our own music. There's lots of room to just kind of play it whenever you want and chill to it, you know? Although it has to be said, from what I've heard, a lot of the game music is a lot of fun, and I look forward to hearing more of it. Yeah, as you can see here, I'm having quite a bit of trouble, you know, finding donations, but what I loved about this quest, you know, I was trying everything. I was going on the wikis and I was just experimenting. I was saying /donate. I was saying donation. I was just trying to like talk to them multiple times, up my, you know, reputation, and then come back and see if something would change. But it had me interacting with the world. It had me talking with characters and learning about the lore, hearing some funny stories, meeting interesting characters, and just getting to know more about the ways in which you can interact with the world around you. Admittedly, I would get a little bit frustrated not being able to figure things out. I think a lot of us gamers are used to being able to, you know, if we can't figure it out, we can search it on the internet and we'll have our answer. But I was determined. I really was determined to fulfill this mundane quest and just get this, you know, get reputation with the cleric's order and move up in the ranks, you know, and get a nice reward. I was looking forward to it. So I was interacting with the people, and I was, you know, learning. I was hearing about other quests, like in the aqueducts, as I was talking to people, and then I went exploring and asking myself, should I be in this place right now, or should I turn around? It looks kind of dangerous. There was this sense of wonder, and, you know, it just it encouraged me to be curious about things, not just to run past whatever. You know, I would stop and say, oh, what's this person doing? Are they waiting for a boat? Like, who are they? What are they doing? Just, it really had me thinking all the time. Real sense of wonder. So my quests would bring me all around the city of Kanos. It would bring me, or Kinos, I apologize if I'm saying it wrong, but it would bring me to the Bard's Guild, which is relevant to me because my my secondary class was Bard. So, I got to know where that was and learn about Bard songs, and another quest was brought to my attention. I was given a lute and said, okay, I have to go and find the guy who knows how to fix the lute, but nothing except that he hangs out in a well in the plains. They don't even tell you which plains. I continued walking around and I saw this level 99 construct, and I was like, what is this thing and why is it so unbelievably powerful? Again, and I'm still wondering to this very moment. Running around, I would started seeing a lot of players. There was lots of people running around, and I would check out their classes, wonder what they were doing. People coming out of the water, what were they, just in the sewers? Like, where are they coming from? I was asking all kinds of questions. Another question being, why isn't that guy offering a donation? Because I knew from a wiki that this was one of the 6 people who would give me a donation, but I couldn't figure out why. He was telling me about other potential quests. I just still couldn't figure out why I couldn't get a donation from him. So, I didn't give up on the quest, but I figured, hey, I'll do like all the other players, and I'll go out into the fields and smack a couple of skeletons. And I think this round now that I experienced my first level up, I got my ding, I think not too long after this. Oh yeah, I believe it's on this decaying skeleton fight. So I'm still, I think, level 1 at this point. So there you go, there's my first level up, and I'm confused because I thought I already leveled up. This is where I learn about how there's a level for your alternate advancements, and there's a level up for your actual character level. So that pretty much means more depth, and that's never a bad thing. And I found some depth too as I was pondering my spells and meditating in the thunder. It's quite a nice moment. But no, the fun doesn't stop there for me. I love playing healer classes because I like healing randoms out in the field. I feel like I'm useful, like I'm accomplishing something. It's also a great way to just actually meet people, because the simple thank you oftentimes could become something else. But this is, for me, the joys of playing a cleric, is just healing randoms. As you can see, this guy drops a nice reverent bow. So we had a little bit of an exchange and a thank you and a you're welcome. I don't know, it's moments like this, it's the little things, There's definitely lots of meaningful player interaction, and I was making my way further and further away from the starting city of Kinos. I should probably get that name down. Yeah, you can see me here just wandering on my way. I think I run into a bunch of rats and I think, oh, I'm gonna kill them. And then I get distracted by the music. It just sucks me in. Not cute music. I'll leave the rats alone. Still, no EverQuest journey is complete without accidentally auto-attacking guards and being left as a lifeless corpse, having to respawn back. Yeah, still, the penalties aren't that bad. I know, nothing like they used to be, so I really just started at the beginning of the zone, made my way back, learned a lesson rather painlessly, so still, maybe a little bit inconvenient. But I decided to take a break, and as you can see here, I did a little bit of research, and I rearranged my UI. This would be the I would end up rearranging it again, but yeah, this was everything was starting to take shape, and I was learning quite a bit more about the game. You know, I'm also realizing from a lot of that research that most people, like I mentioned before, really don't do quests. Like, quests are highly, highly secondary versus just smacking mobs, and so I understood that I was going to have to do that more, but that wasn't going to stop me from enjoying some of the quests and still trying to complete them. Here I'm talking a little bit about my bard spell, Symphonic Aura. Really cool. I ended up spending 3 more AA points to get a second song later down the road. But you can have up to 5 songs. As long as there's 0 cast, you can have up to 5 bard songs automatically playing. Quite something. Here I was investigating another player and checking out emotes, and I realized I accidentally pulled the other person by the hand and started dancing with them. A bit of an awkward moment for me, not gonna lie. I didn't mean to just dance with a random person. I'm just waiting for night. Didn't mean to do that. But hey, that didn't stop me from taking in the sights and even enjoying some sea shanties. Kinda had some RuneScape vibes going on. So at this point I was level 3, and I wanted to share my experiences. I thought I had gotten a good first impressions, and yeah, I wanted to share my thoughts so far, and I definitely had something. I held some of the thoughts for the end of the video, but here I figured, why don't I share them with you now, and then we'll continue on, because it doesn't quite end here. I've been at this for a couple of hours, you know, and doing a little bit of research, and just to get an idea, get a feel for it, and I was asking myself the question for this video, does this game, does it fill the nostalgia hole that is inside of me? Of course, many games would, but does this one in particular fill that nostalgia hole that exists for, you know, there's 2 types of nostalgia. There's nostalgia for the stuff you have done, and there's a nostalgia for the stuff that you could have done but never got a chance to, and EverQuest was that for me. So it's nostalgic in that sense. Nostalgic in, you know, I could have played it 26 years ago, but I never did, and I always wondered what it would be like. And I gotta say, I really liked it. I like the pace of it. I have been tired of the way a lot of MMOs work for a while. Not all of them, you know, some have a refreshing pace, but I always kind of wanted something with maybe old school philosophy, design philosophy. I go back to many retro games because of those old design philosophies. Not to say that there's nothing good now. There are plenty of great games that are kind of redefining many different genres, but it's nice to go back to these classics. As I'm playing it, I'm reminded of Morrowind. I'm reminded of, you know, Dungeons and Dragons, whether that's, you know, the old CRPGs or the tabletop games, you know, 2nd edition, 3rd edition. I'm also reminded of MUDs, which are multi-user dungeons, and I believe this game was heavily inspired by those. So yeah, for me, this definitely fills that nostalgia hole. Hey there, this is Editor Chris. You're probably wondering why I'm saying nostalgia hole so much, and honestly, I kind of am too. But apparently it's a real term. I looked it up, and lots of interesting photos come up. I would have loved to show them, but I didn't want to copyright. So here's a picture of me in a mugshot holding my driver's license, trying to get it approved for Uber Eats or something. Anyways, you know that thing I was talking about, the word was brought up to me by a friend. It's actually the word when you have nostalgia for something you didn't experience, which is kind of what I'm going through with this game, is called anemoia, and that's pretty much what I'm experiencing here, is anemoia out the wazoo. But that being said, how could I possibly think that I could stop this video after only getting to level 3. I can't do that. I was determined to go further, to go to level 10, so that I can get that 3rd class and really have a better idea. Unfortunately, when I made that decision, I was away at family's for a few days, only had access to my laptop. I played a bit, I recorded what I did in terms of I wrote notes, so I'll discuss those and while I have some more recent footage, some B-roll footage of me getting finally to level 10, and yeah, well, anyways, intermission over, let's jump into the discussion. So the first thing you're probably noticing is the fact that I have a completely new UI, and I want to give credit to Italian Spartacus for that. Yeah, go watch Italian Spartacus's video on regarding that. I'll link it in the description because the name's not coming to me. It was just uploaded a couple days ago. Super useful. This is the default modern UI. It's built into EverQuest Legends, and let me tell you, the resizable windows, I got everything to my liking. It's quite nice. This is pretty much where I'm at. I did it on my laptop, and then here is footage of me having done it on my desktop as well. Another thing, this dog, Frostbite. This, I randomly found the dog that was giving Rennick at the temple in Kenos problems, and I thought, oh, let me try and take it on. Spoiler alert, yeah, I don't do so well, but I thought it was really cool how I was starting to organically run into the quests, you know, the things that I was being told about in game by characters that I was just speaking to because of other quests, and here I am. I find my mark, although I'm just not strong enough to do it. That being said, maybe if I got up in a group, I'd be able to accomplish it. But you know, again, it doesn't mean that you can't be grouping up in this game. That it's solo only. There's definitely lots of opportunities where I thought, hey, if I just teamed up with 1 or 2 other people, we could tackle this. Here's me doing some fishing. Finally figured out how to equip a fishing rod. I also caught a fish, and that was awesome. I caught a fish. I just ended up selling it. I'm not going into like cooking and all that stuff yet. I know it's an option, but yeah, I was just happy to know that, hey, I can fish, and I got slightly better at it after having done it. I was getting a bit brave. As you can see, I'm taking on some red mobs. I'm getting a little bit more comfortable messing around with my different stances and invocations, and I do some riskier plays as time goes on. Right, so I want to talk a little bit about my experience those 2 days when I was just kind of exiled from my home and playing on my laptop. Of course, it ran well on my older laptop and no problems. That's one of the great things, is that you can bring your device anywhere and play EverQuest, even Legends. I figured out the donations quest, and I figured it out by accident after having done a bunch of research that wasn't really helping me. But I did notice that someone was logging all of that they did do, and they didn't explicitly tell me what I had to do, but I kind of figured it out by reading their logs. Apparently, for the characters that give donations, you have to say something along the lines of, would you be willing to give a donation, or would you consider giving a donation to the Temple of Thunder? I think it locks on to donation and Temple of Thunder. And sure enough, I typed these to those characters and they reacted and gave me donations. I was kind of blown away because it made me realize, like, wow, this is a lot more like MUDs than I thought. The fact that these mundane quests can be completed by you actually role-playing and typing in things, and the computer, the NPCs are reacting accordingly. I just thought, like, how great is that for immersion? I know questing isn't the main thing in this game, but let me tell you, I'm just having so much fun, and I look forward to exploring the world of Norath and just trying to figure out how to solve these quests. Now, the fun thing is, so yes, I enjoyed the quest. It challenged me, but the reward ended up being a spell that I already had, which was kind of funny. I had actually bought it just within the last hour of completing the quest, and so, well, it was still fun. I didn't get much money. I got a spell that I ended up selling for, I don't know, 4 silver, but my reputation went up with the order, and so I think that was most important, and it was what that quest did. It was what it made me discover about the world, whether it be other quests or characters or, the journey of it, not the completion. It was really all about the journey, and I think this is kind of a thesis about EverQuest, is it really is a game that invites enjoyment of the journey, although there's a lot to be had with the destination as well. I spent 3 points. I got another alternate advancement. As you can see in the top right corner, I have 2 bard spells going off at any time, which I thought is just really cool. And then you have all my paladin buffs, or my cleric buffs. Look at this beautiful view. I caught dawn out in the plains of Karana, I think. I loved it. I was really in the quest at that point in the journey. It felt like it was becoming something epic. So, up until this point, I didn't really run into too many crazy moments, too many crazy mobs that were too difficult. I even experimented in some of the starter locations with difficulty 4, and no, it didn't really give me much of a problem. Oh, by the way, this too, I started to see some really interesting locations. I was fascinated. This was out in Karana. It really gets interesting, in my opinion, out in these areas. But yeah, so it wasn't until I got into Blackburrow that I ran into some crazy mobs. Like, I was able to solo some of the really high level things, like the level 13, 14 gnolls, but there was so many places where you needed group play, and I met so many cool people. I accidentally pulled a mob of gnolls, and I created my first train, and I was like running down to the entrance and screaming, "Train, train," and it was good times. And here in the video, you can see I run into the guy organically, the guy who is the one who fixes the loot. So there was the bard quest, being completed. Ran into some good old undead. Of course, I had to fight him because that's kind of my thing as a cleric. I didn't have any spells equipped that were specifically good at them, but I still wanted to, do my job, so to speak. So I'm really enjoying just the whole slow leveling. I'm not trying to be efficient. I'm really just taking in the scenery, meeting people, giving them buffs, exploring dungeons, maybe trying to pull 1 or 2 real tough mobs, get some good experience, fight some red mobs, fight groups of yellow mobs, stuff like that. But still, really it's more about just exploring the area and seeing what the world has to offer, and I have not been disappointed at all. One of the interesting things is, having played this, it had me thinking about lots of other nostalgic games, sure, but it's got me really thinking about not just other games from this era, but EverQuest Live. Now, I know EverQuest is not what it used to be, but it really, I still think at its core, it is very much the game it used to be. It is a unique MMO in many ways, and I think that still holds true. And what I'm experiencing in Legends, I know is not going to necessarily be the same thing, but I've been doing a lot of research and watching videos about EverQuest Live, and it seems like a lot of fun, and they keep releasing expansions, and they've been doing it for years and years. There's like 30 plus or 32 expansions out at this point. It's crazy. And then you have the time-locked progression servers. I'm really looking forward to trying those. And of course, I'm familiar with Project 99 and Quorum, and actually in the 2 days that I was at Family's, I installed them on my laptop. I installed them. Project 99 wasn't so bad, although it gave me a bit of a headache trying to get it full screen. I had to download add-ons to get it to work. And then Project Quorum is apparently easier to do, but I found the instructions a little convoluted. in the end, it turns out it is very simple. But it was when I got to the part about Zeal, installing Zeal, that I realized, I have to. It's highly encouraged that you install that Zeal mod, and honestly, I don't want to. I used to mod the crap. I spent hundreds of hours modding games like Kerbal Space Program and Skyrim, and I'm just kind of done. I just want a nice, clean package. Give me something simple. I want to install one thing and have it be all-encompassing, and that be the end of it, you know? So I decided, you know, there's probably not the good thing for me, but that is the private servers, especially because they're more appealing to, you know, nostalgia that I haven't experienced, right? So there's a certain audience for that, and it's probably not me, but I'm looking forward to trying EQ Live and the time lock progression servers, very much so. One funny thing that happened to me is I ran into this level 30 ogre. It's a random story, but I ran into this level 30 ogre, and he was fighting a bunch of guards outside in Kinos, and I think his name was Rathos or something along those lines. And just me being a cleric and I like buffing people, I started healing him. And at the same time, I'm wondering why he's attacking guards. You know, are they being racist towards him? Do guards not like the ogre? Is he just being evil? I couldn't quite tell, but I was healing him, and I ended up taking a huge rep hit for having done so. And we were having a laugh about it, and then he invited me to a party so that I could get a bunch of really high-end buffs. He gave me a bunch of his super, super strong enchantments, and yeah, I was like Superman for a good 30 minutes. And that was a lot of fun. The rep hit was but it was the moment we had, and just had a little chat. I never asked him why he was killing guards or why they were attacking him, but yeah, it was a fun encounter, and he just really stood out to me because he was nothing like the others. He was clearly came from very far away, so it was really neat to see. I think to this day he's the only ogre I've seen in the game, but that was a really fun moment. And that being said, I'm really looking forward to also streaming the game. So much so, I'm really looking forward to it. I think it'll be a good time for me to just discover EverQuest in a live setting too, you know, and because it's a game that you want to build communities, right? You want to build communities, and you want to get people playing together, and just having fun, you know, in the new stuff and in the old stuff, because it's the community that keeps it alive. So I think it'll be a fun experience. I'm very much looking forward to. Yeah, I completed so many quests. I had a blast. A lot of them, again, I had the rewards for, but it was, again, more about the journey, not the destination. One particular quest that I ran into was about the girl in the sewers and Qbert. That's a really dark quest. Like, if you just think about it for a second, you know, the Qbert and the girl lost in the sewers quest is quite dark, especially when you discover her fate. You know, going down to the sewers or the aqueducts, I ended up running into the Bertoxulus area. Totally out of my league. I got killed pretty fast, but that was pretty freaky. Not gonna lie, I got killed by like a wraith or something. It was like, okay, there's some dark and devious shit going on here, just underneath us. But that being said, I ended up going and doing more exploring in the sewers, and I did a bit of research. Okay, I know maybe I shouldn't have, but I found out where Qbert spawns, and he's got like a 10% chance to spawn there, and even if he spawns, he only has about a 30 to 50% chance. I was getting mixed messages, but he has about a 30 to 50% chance to drop the tattered dress that you're trying to find. It should be 100%, but I guess... Anyways, I spent 2 to 3 hours camping that area in the sewers. I must have killed him like 12 to 15 times. It felt good when I finally got the dress, and it gave me a taste of like I played some old RPGs back in their day, or some old MMOs, and so I know the feeling of having to camp something for 2 to 3 hours just to get something like a minor quest item. But I did it, and I met so many people along the way. There were like people running by and killing the frog locks, and they would ask me like, hey, are you camping the frog locks, or can I kill them? And I would buff them, we would have a little chat, they would move on. And this was the social MMO that everybody was talking about, like, oh, it was like this back in the day. Well, guess what? It's like this now. And what I thought particularly interesting was how these people could have made their own instance or gone to a different difficulty in order to be alone, but they actually chose to stay in difficulty 0 with the majority, and actually camp the zones and play nice with one another and communicate. So even though this game Legends is supposedly more solo friendly, I mean, it definitely is, it's designed for solos, it is by no means, people are thirsty for the social aspect, and I don't see it being dead at all, and I don't see people avoiding it or being antisocial. In fact, I've seen the opposite. You'll get a couple people who just run by, but no, for the most part, my experience has been the opposite of what you might expect. I'm really excited. As you can probably see on my bar there, I can summon food and drink. Kind of brings me back to when I first played WoW. I didn't quite catch WoW in vanilla, but I played the Burning Crusade, and my first character was a gnome mage. So being able to create teleports, create food and water, it was just fun. Like, for me, it was cool that I could go on long journeys and I can create sustenance, and I could give that sustenance to others and be useful in a way that wasn't just, oh, you throw big fireballs at people. I like these utility spells, and it was cool that I had so many as a cleric and bard, so being able to do that was really, really, really fun. Yeah, and I continued my journey. I went through Everfrost Peaks, I made my way to Hollis, and then Permafrost Caverns. Of course, I was very much under-leveled for that, so of course I had to turn back. But there was always a slew of people there, and there was lots of opportunities to group. If I wasn't at my mother's house at the time visiting, in a place where I could have 100% of my attention to get immersed, I might have just grouped up with people. There were so many opportunities. The game is obviously very active, even in it's an open beta now, but I'm sure it was active in the closed beta, and I'm sure it's going to be even far more active at the end of the month when it releases. But there were lots of grouping opportunities, and again, I'm absolutely going to take part in that. Because, yeah, even though you're really somewhat overpowered, like as a level 9, I was able to solo something level 15, but that was because, I'm 3 classes, so it's a different power scale. But there were lots of places where I was just out of my depth and I couldn't solo the material. So, group up. Like, I think there's still a lot of incentive there. Even if just to be social, because there are still lots of downtime, I think, in this game for you to be social, and it's really that brings us back to this idea of when EverQuest released in the late 90s. They were essentially these early MMOs were essentially glorified chat rooms. Chat rooms were kind of a new big deal, and people I love the idea of that they can just go into a room and talk to people and communicate and meet people from across the world. Well, imagine doing that, but now you're in this massive fantasy world. It's really neat, and we're kind of capturing that lightning in a bottle all over again, I think. So at this point, I came back to Kanos. I turned in the Bard quest, and I'd hit level 10. It was time to select my third class, and after deliberating for quite a long time, actually, I settled on Wizard, as you can see. I don't know why it took me so long. I think I started getting into meta mode where I looked up online, like, hey, what are good matchups with Cleric and Bard? And, you know, I've saw things like Monk is apparently S tier with that, and then there's Shadow Knight. Those are also good matchups. Wizard was considered like okay, or what was it, solid is how it was described if you're talking about meta. And I thought to myself, oh, you know what, we go down that road where we look at, oh, what's the best combination, and you know what, the best combination is the combination that does the thing you want to do. And so I picked Wizard because I knew I wanted to be a spellcaster. I kind of wanted to go with this theme of, like, I'm a time weaver, you know, so I'm someone who prays to the gods and who plays music to buff, because music is manipulation of time in a way. It's subject to time. Music is played in time, and then, you know, manipulation of space and the others is kind of like, well, I don't know, wizards go down that road. So it's difficult to really describe it, but the vibe, the aesthetic was, you know, it had to be like a wizard or an enchanter or a magician. And I think enchanters, I wasn't as interested in them, and magicians, well, I think they use pets, and I didn't want to be a pet class, so I thought, okay, let's just give a wizard a shot. So, you know, F the meta, I'm just playing what I want to play. So here we are, our three classes: Cleric, Bard, Wizard. And we'll see how it goes. And then again, this is the open beta. After the 21st, this character, I believe, will be deleted, so it's still kind of a trial run, but there's a good chance I'm going to remake the character with the same classes, and I'm really looking forward to that. And I'm looking forward to, you know, discovering more about the character itself. We're going to see in a moment here, I take one last time to meditate and to look through my spells, my spell book, and look at my what I have now, which is a lot of stuff very reminiscent of the mage class in WoW. That's the best way I could describe it. Or maybe an elementalist in Guild Wars. You're basically, you know, you have ice spells and fire spells, but there are other things. I'm sure Wizard has lots of interesting utility. My understanding is of the class is that you don't have too many spells. Maybe you're a lot like a sorcerer in Dungeons and Dragons, where you don't have as many spells as other spellcasters, but you're more specialized. I've yet to figure it out, but the vibe is cool. I got heals, I got fireballs, I have, you know, the power of arcane, and I also have bard songs, so it's all pretty cool to me. And yeah, you know, this is definitely for me where it's at. I'm going to continue playing this far past this video, I'm sure, and I'm really looking forward to making up for the 26 years of lost time. And hey, if you're psyched about it too, maybe it's time that you take a look at EverQuest Legends. As for any of you who may be interested, maybe you're like me, you never got a chance to play it, you never thought you'd have time, because, you know, a lot of MMOs, you need time, you need a regular group in order to get things done. This, so far, you don't need to. You could group up with people, but you can do everything solo. You're completely capable, so you can play it at your own pace, and it really seems like a game that is not wasting your time, and it respects your time. So if you only have an hour a day, 30 minutes, or if you have 8 hours, that's fine. And yeah, it's really chill. I think you can just kind of put on some tunes and go to a zone and explore and just, you know, grind the game. You know, a lot of us enjoy that. But you also have neat quests that are, you know, quite difficult just to do, even some of the more mundane quests. But I think that's what kind of makes it all the little things special, and EverQuest seems to just really be good at that, making everything that you do that much more meaningful, you know? So yeah, it's been fun, and I definitely, I think I'm going to maybe make a video or two on this in the future when I gain more experience with it, but I'll certainly live stream it, so, you know, feel free to jump in when I'm doing that, and, you know, if you stayed to the end, thanks again for spending this time with me and checking it out. I want to get this video out as soon as I can, because the open beta will be open until July 21st, and then I believe between the 21st and 28th everything's going to be closed. So that'll be, you know, I'd love for some people to see this, and maybe they can make an informed decision and decide it's for them, and you'll have at least maybe, you know, a week or two to mess with it before it comes out, and take advantage of the benefits that you get for having pre-ordered it. And it's only 20 bucks. 20 bucks, and that gets you the 3 weeks of the open beta, and then I believe when the game actually launches, you get your first month is already paid for. So it's quite a deal, and it's only 10 bucks a month after that. I don't know, I see some value in it. So keep your eyes out. If you're interested, go on the website now, go check out EverQuest Legends. I think it's going to scratch many an itch. All right. Well, until the next time, everyone, take care.